Previously on JamesMCD TVlogs.
Yeah, I think this might be the first like major dud of the TVlogs so far, and it's a real shame. But you know what? At least we have Shehulk coming in August. That's gonna be great, right?
And hey, on the bright side, at least it's not the worst superhero comedy that you could be watching right now. Well, I've been holding off on it for a while. Guess I better get right into it.
You almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never.
Several hundred underpaid animators had to work on that. Let that sink in. Hey guys, JamesMCD Reviews here. Welcome to another TV log, and today, after several weeks of putting it off, I'm finally going to be talking about Shehulk. This is the latest MCU Disney Plus show to fall off the content conveyor belt, and it finally introduces Jen Walters into the MCU. If you've been on the internet for the past couple months and you're a part of the Marvel fandom, then you don't really need me to explain to you how Shehulk has made quite the reputation for itself in all of the worst ways. Ever since the trailers came out, people have been memeing on it and, you know, anticipating the worst, and now that the show is complete, some people have been justified. And where do I fall on the whole thing? Well, for one, I want to get out of the way that, you know, I know that this show has caused a lot of anger and rage, and not a lot of it is unjust. I think a lot of it is definitely blown out of proportions. There are definitely way worse things that you could have watched. If you like this show, that's awesome. Don't let this review take that away from you. I'm just here to give you my honest opinion, and my honest opinion is that She-Hulk is a big green pile of garbage. I don't want to harp on it the whole way through because there are some things that work about it. So I do want to try and sprinkle those in, you know, as best I can. So this video might get a little rambly and incoherent, but I mean, that's the show in a nutshell for you. So let's get into this. So starting off with one of the positive elements is Tatiana Maslany carries this show the best that she can. I do feel like she is a good choice for Jen Walters. She does have, you know, a nice wit to her, and she's very snarky, and she has decent comedic timing. It's just she is given crap material to say. It just doesn't feel, the writing just does not feel natural coming out of these characters' mouths. The writers clearly had this lawyer comedy in mind, and they just were hired on for the MCU, and they were like, well, we don't know how to write an MCU show, but we have this lawyer comedy that we can just sprinkle MCU things in, and it just doesn't flow really well. It already feels like the black sheep of the Marvel universe, and not in a very good way. The show is also meant to be a comedy, and I know that comedy is subjective, and a lot of people that I've talked to that actually like the show have, you know, they do find it funny and they do find it enjoyable. And I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that not all of it was funny. There were a few chuckle-worthy scenes that, you know, kind of broke me. But for the most part, it's just the humor just wasn't doing anything for me. It just felt really tiresome. Even the fourth wall jokes, so apparently She-Hulk is known for breaking the fourth wall in the comics, and, you know, there are some really great uses of that, especially towards the end. But I mean, it just felt like an excuse for lazy writing as opposed to actually saying something clever. They're just kind of, I mean, Deadpool gets accused of this too, but at least when he says, you know, when he breaks the fourth wall, you know, there are actual funny jokes behind it. Here, it just seems well, we know the writing is lazy, but we couldn't be bothered to think of a better, you know, solution for it, so we're just gonna point out how lazy it is, and hopefully the audience will be laughing with us and not at us. I do think that this show is definitely a love letter for classic Marvel Comics fans, because I mean, the amount of, you know, C-list and D-list characters that you would really have to like dig through the depths to like look up is pretty cool. Like, I did not think, you know, if you were to tell me, you know, when I first got into the MCU that you would see characters like Frogman and like the Wrecking Crew in this show, I'd be like, who the hell are they? I have no clue who those are. Like, as fun as it is, I do feel like it kind of works both for and against the show, because there's a scene in one of the first few episodes where Jen like talks to the camera and is like, yeah, I know there's been a bunch of like really exciting cameos that have popped up here and there, but don't forget whose show this is. But honestly, like, that's kind of, you know, like, the cameos are such a like talked about part of the show that they do kind of inadvertently overshadow She-Hulk, like the title character. Like, so many people were watching this show waiting for Daredevil to show up than because they actually cared about what was going on in the story. Speaking of which, I do want to real quickly touch on this before I move on to anything else. I do like seeing Charlie Cox back as Daredevil. I don't think that they completely neutered him in this show. I don't mind the sort of lighter tone that they have to him. And if that carries over into Daredevil Born Again, I'm not going to be like super disappointed as long as they do it well. But I pray to God that they ditch that horrible yellow and red costume, because it just does not translate well to live action and it looks ugly and I hate it. The story doesn't really feel like it has any like direction. Like, say what you will about the other MCU shows, but at least they felt like they were building to something. They were building to some satisfying payoff or some revelation. By the time you get to the final episode of this, like, I mean, for one, the episodes leading up to this are just kind of like villain of the week, and that would be fine if this was just a villain of the week type of show. But then when you try to string all those plots together, and I mean, yeah, they poke fun at it when Jen like acknowledges like, wait, what the hell, all these stories are coming together but they don't line up at all, like, and then she goes and talks to Kevin, which admittedly was kind of funny, but like, you know, again, that felt like one of those situations where, hey, we have all these storylines, but we need to tie them together somewhere. We can't think of a satisfying way to do that, so let's just end on a really like lame anticlimax and just make fun of the fact that we couldn't think of a way to end this and everything like that. I don't know, it makes the show feel kind of like cheap, because it's like, you know, you are following and you're trying to get invested in something, but the show just gives you nothing to chew on. I know that this is going to be a hot topic of conversation, but like, you know, a lot of people switched off of this show in the first episode, claiming that it was, you know, woke garbage because of a certain speech that Jen delivers about controlling her anger. And I'm not going to argue with one way or the other of whether or not the show is woke. Like, it is very clear that the show is pushing some kind of agenda, just in the way that it's written. I do feel like there is a way to make that sort of stuff work. Like, when she's talking about like, oh, I'm very great at controlling my anger, when I get, you know, catcalled in the street or have my line of work explained to me by incompetent men and everything like that. Like, I feel like that monologue would have been more powerful if we had seen Jen, like, in her normal life before she had gotten her superpowers. Like, if we had seen her, you know, getting harassed at, like, outside or, like, at a bar with her friends or something, or if we had seen her getting mistreated at work, or hell, if they want, I know Marvel would never have the balls to go there, but like, if we saw her just like randomly get like attacked on the street or something and didn't know how to defend herself, and then like Pugs or someone, whoever that guy was, like came in and like rescued her or something like that. Like, if we had just seen that, it would have packed a lot bigger punch when she gives that monologue to Bruce, rather than just having it come out of nowhere after we've seen, you know, all we've seen of her life up until that point is, you know, just her at this like cushy job. She has like a nice like apartment, she has like decent friends and everything. You know, we don't really see that sort of struggle until like before she gets the superpowers that turn her into the Hulk and everything. I don't know. And I mean, I can understand the argument that, like, you know, like, believe me, we are all too familiar with the fact that women go through this in real life, that, you know, the argument could be made that maybe we don't need to be reminded. But I mean, like, you know, the people that are switching off of this show, calling it woke garbage because of that whole monologue, probably do need to be reminded. And also, like, you know, I feel like it wouldn't just be in service to, you know, the message that they're trying to push, but it would be in service to Jen the character. Stepping off my soapbox for a few minutes, the MCU parts of this MCU show really did not work. The action was very hit or miss. There are maybe like 2 decent fight scenes. The only reason being because they didn't have the budget for any other good action scenes. Which, I mean, speaking on the budget, the visual effects, good God, I wish I could go back in time and apologize to Miss Marvel for making fun of their visual effects, because, like, it's so weird as well, because the visual effects, not only are they bad, but they're inconsistent. Like, some of the shots, like, the first episode, Mark Ruffalo looks like movie quality. Whenever they show, like, Jen in her She-Hulk form, like, that's when, like, some shots, like, when they shoot her, she looks, like, halfway decent, but then other times it's just like it's like the previs that they make for one of the Marvel movies, like several years before they've shot anything, so that they know what, you know, the shot is going to look like with the visual effects all put in, but it's just unfinished and looks really bad and looks like it came out of a PS3 game. Ultimately, I'm pretty late to the party on this. You already seen all the, like, video essays on how She-Hulk has ruined the MCU and why it sucks and everything. I agree that it sucks. I don't think it ruined the MCU. I mean, for fuck's sake, the MCU is not going anywhere anytime soon. They've announced like 50 projects in the last like couple months. Like, one TV show is not going to ruin the entire MCU. Like, there are still, you know, shows and movies that are coming out. There's still a bigger story coming that's building to this wider multiverse saga and everything like that. One insignificant little TV show is not going to ruin that for anybody. This just did not hit the mark for me. There were some things that, you know, kind of worked, whereas the rest of it just kind of fell flat for me personally. But again, if you like it, that is great. I don't want to take that away from you. I'm glad you had fun with it. As for season 1, it was easily the weakest of the MCU shows so far. And if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it somewhere like a 2 out of 5. But anyway, that does it for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of She-Hulk. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you just kind of in between? And what are you expecting to see from She-Hulk, both the character and the series, later on down the line in the MCU? Let me know all that stuff down below. Until next time, be sure to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell so you can stay up to date on when I'm posting. Follow me on all my social medias, subscribe to my main channel. Everything you need to know will be in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you later.